Hello, my name is Joanne Rutledge. I am the Corporate Wellness Coordinator at York Regional Police. Today in this video, we're going to show you the 4 different components that are part of the PIN test. Push-ups, flexibility, which is a sit and reach test, core endurance, and then the cardiovascular portion. The push-ups are worth 20% of the mark, the flexibility worth 10%, the core endurance worth 20%, and the cardiovascular is worth 50%. The aerobic portion of the PIN test is worth 50%, so it's really important that you practice your running. The test that we use for the PIN test is the shuttle run. It's a 20-meter shuttle run. There's warning lines set up that are 2 meters in, so one's at 20 meter, one's at 18 meter. You need to get to that warning line before the beep goes off. If you don't 2 times in a row, then you're considered out of the aerobic portion. Ways to train for that is really set it up. I would suggest that you practice it maybe once a week would be good, and get to the point where you'd be able to run at least 2 to 3 miles and not feel exhausted when you're done, so that it's comfortable. So this particular component is called our sit and reach. It looks at the flexibility of your hamstrings and your low back. It's worth 10% of the overall mark, and this one is done with your shoes off. So I'm going to ask Inspector Hammond to take her shoes off, and she's going to come and place herself up against this flexometer. She's going to have her feet 6 inches apart from insole to insole, so 6 inches apart insole to insole. And what she's going to do is she's going to put her hands, one hand directly over top of the other, and she is going to take a deep breath in. She's going to breathe out, and she's going to stretch as far as she can. She's got a good stretch. She's going to have to hold this for 2 seconds and then relax. Now, there's a couple of points with this. Number 1, when she does it, she needs to make sure that her calves stay down in contact with the floor. She has to make sure that her hands stay directly over top of each other. If one hand happens to drift forward more than the other, then we have to take from the hand that's closest to her body. And in this case, nails don't count either. And suggestions are that she puts her head down and she also breathes out while she's doing it. So again, one more time. Deep breath in, breathe out, calves stay down, and she can relax. So she has to just hold it for those 2 seconds. Now, another thing prior to her doing this part of the fitness test is she can do a warm-up. The suggested warm-up is a modified hurdler. And the modified hurdler looks like this, where she's got one leg in, one leg out in front of her. And this leg out in front of her should be directly out in front, not off to the side. And she's going to take a deep breath in, breathe out, then forward, hold the stretch for 15 to 20 seconds. She's going to do 2 times on each side. It's also been suggested that if you stretch your lats by pulling onto something or hanging from a chin-up bar may work, that'll also help to stretch everything out so you'll get a better score.
Yes, there you go.
So now we would like to show the push-up portion of the PIN test, and this is Sergeant Ken Gouldy here with me, and he is going to demonstrate how to do the push-up properly and also in correct technique. Hands are directly underneath the shoulder blades and feet are together. And elbows can be slightly out to the side. Hands are always facing forward, not turned in, facing forward. And all he's going to do is he's going to push up all the way up and then come down to almost touch his chin and then all the way back up again. And just relax down, Sarge. Thank you. And another common problem that we see is that people only move half their body. They don't move their entire body. If it seems really easy to do a push-up, you're probably not doing it correctly. Have someone videotape you and then you can see if your whole body's moving. So what I mean by that is it looks like this. So they come up, but only this part of their body is moving. They need to move their entire body up and down when they do the push-up correctly. Another thing that can happen is that the belly touches or the chest, and we don't want that to happen. All that should come close to the floor is the chin, just really close to the floor, belly doesn't touch. This is the portion of the push-ups for the females, and this is Inspector Cecile Hammond. She's the officer in charge of recruiting. So she is going to demonstrate how to do a push-up properly for females. So she's going to lie down, and the pivot point for females is the knees. She's going to bring her feet together. Hands are directly underneath the shoulder blades. So notice how her hands are facing forward. Sometimes the tendency, especially if the triceps are not really strong, is to turn the hands in and the elbows wing way out to the side, and that can hurt your shoulders. So you want to make sure that you practice with your hands going forward, and yet the elbows don't have to be brushing against the ribs when you do them. It's totally fine for them to relax a little bit and wing out just a bit. And what she's going to do is push up, and I just want to show that if you go to do this and you find that your tummy or your chest are touching, then you need to pull your abdominals in. So what she's going to do is pull her abdominals in, so that allows her to have more range of motion. So again, if you go down and back up, good. And if you could show with your tummy relaxed, yes. So you're arching your back. Now come down. Watch, if she tries to come down now, her belly may touch or her chest instead of just her chin, and back up again. Okay, so nothing touches, not her belly, not her chest. Okay, so another one just down and up. Notice how her feet stay down and touched on the floor as opposed to up and crossed. Quite often people want to cross them and bring them up and cross them. Yep, they're not. They need to stay down and flat, not toes in, but flat. Okay, can you demonstrate one more time? Inspector, down and up. Perfect push-up. You can relax. Okay, when you're doing the push-ups, if you do 2 in a row incorrect, then we stop you from doing the push-ups. That's when the test is terminated. This part of the PIN test involves what's known as the core endurance, which is a back extension test. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the sergeant come and lie down. And this is a key point, is that the top of his hips need to come to the edge of the bench. So he's going to move along. He's got to move forward. Oh, come back a little. Perfect, okay? So that's the top of his hips, and they're right at the very edge of the bench. Then we're gonna have him lift his legs up, and we're gonna fold the mat just to give a little bit of support for the ankles. Then Inspector Hammond's gonna come in, and she's going to straddle him here, and she's gonna move back so that any weight that she puts on him is from the knees to the ankles. So even with her hands, they have to be below the knees in order to support him. What he's going to do, you don't have to yet, is he's going to cross his hands across his chest, his arms across his chest, his hands on his shoulders, and he's going to try and hold himself up so he's completely level. His head, his back, everything is all in one plane. He's going to hold himself up for a total of 3 minutes to get perfect marks for his particular age group. Okay. Are you ready to demonstrate, Sarge? Okay, so he's going to cross his arms across his chest, and he's going to come all the way up and hold himself so he's completely level with his head just his head down a little, and lift yourself up just a bit. Perfect body position. And he's going to stay there for 3 minutes. So he's allowed 1 warning if he starts to drop down, and I say, come on back up, Sarge, and he comes back up. That's 1 warning. If he does it again a second time, then he's done. Thank you. All done. There is a pre-screening for the core endurance test, and if you do the pre-screening and find that you have any pain at all, that you should not perform the core endurance test. And the pre-screening looks like this. First of all, I'd ask the inspector to lift up her right leg and down, as high as she can, her left leg and down. And any pain? Good, so no pain. Now she's gonna do opposing arm and leg, right arm, left leg, and back down. It's not a test. And left arm, right leg, and back down. And any pain? Good. So she's okay to move forward and do the core endurance test.
Come on, Sam. Pour yourself in a happy place, Sam.
Now, a few little training tips that I've got for you. Number one, when you do your push-ups, how do you train for them? Do push-ups. You can do them every day because they're just body weight. So your muscles recover very quickly, and just make sure you do them properly. And as I had mentioned, it's a good idea to maybe get a friend videotape you. Get a side view so that you can see if you're doing anything incorrectly. And remember, feet together, hands directly underneath the shoulder blades, and just practice. The next thing is for the flexibility. When you do the sit and reach, I would suggest that you get a measuring tape. And you can practice to see if you're improving by taking the measuring tape, and when you sit down on the floor, put 0 towards your head and 26 centimeters at the bottom of your feet. And that will tell you how far you can reach. We always measure in centimeters. And the best way to practice that is to do that particular stretch. You can stretch it every day. And make sure you hold the stretches a nice long time if you can. Even a minute would be better than the 15 to 20 seconds that are recommended as the warm-up stretch. So to practice for the core endurance test, what you should do is try and find a bench or even a table at home if you can, and find someone who's of the same weight or heavier to be able to sit on your legs. Make sure that it's the top of your hips that come to the edge of the bench, and just have them sit on you and see how long you can hold for. Don't forget the arms are across your chest, hands are on your shoulders, and you want to just try and come up and hold. A lot of fitness centers actually have back endurance machines. They're known as hyperextension. And the only thing is with them, a lot of the time they're on a 45-degree angle where you're going to need to be completely horizontal. So I would suggest you can practice with those, it just won't be exactly the same. Make sure that when you come up, you practice holding, not just the repetition of going down and up. We have found people that practice deadlifts quite often. It helps them with this particular test because it does activate the muscles in the back and also teaches you to use your glutes. And you can also use a stability ball. And how you can practice is like this, where you come down on top of the ball, your feet are up against the wall to anchor you, and all you need to do is come up and hold. And that's going to actually activate the muscles that you need to try to strengthen for the core endurance test. You will have the scoring sheets provided for the PIN test. And if you review them, you'll see that it's different requirements depending upon your age and your gender. So it's broken up into certain sections. Example, 20 to 29-year-old male for push-ups will be different than a 20 to 29-year-old female for push-ups. Just refer to the scoring sheets, and that will give you a good idea of what you need to get in order to get your 75% to pass. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that it helps you, gives you some training tips, and keeps you active and motivated to try and get the best score possible.